All right, baby, let's roll in.
All right, it's the Big Hammock podcast. First one coming. We have our guest today, as if they're guests. We have the first and foremost the editor and cinematographer. I wrote this stuff down.
Oh,
The movies Todd,
yeah.
Hellphone, Fighting a War of Their Own, from SFN Productions.
It's a tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. Producer of the Big Hammock, Travis Cecil.
Thank you.
Woo.
Yeah.
All right, and then last but not least, we have the mind behind this whole thing. We're not here without the director, Malcolm Cyr.
Woo.
And we're going to get into that mind with this podcast. Malcolm, tell us about the Big Hammock movie.
So the Big Hammock movie is a Bigfoot movie.
Okay, so
You got me in suspense now. What did I produce?
So it's funny you say that because that's pretty much how we're describing it to everybody, right? And
Bigfoot movie.
we can get our Bigfoot enthusiast hook, line, and sinker when we say that. But for the most part, the general public, what's their first response to that?
What are you doing making a Bigfoot movie? So yeah, it's so I just kind of give them a little like rundown as far as it's just based around Bigfoot speculation, right? And it's centered around a YouTube podcast group that wants to get footage of the elusive creature. And it's also centered around a game warden who's investigating these animal mutilations within this town, which is called the Big Hammock, which is more like a wildlife preserve / town of its own in Central Florida swamp.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So Travis,
Yeah.
You've done more movies than what was listed off.
Yeah.
You've been in the industry for a long time. Where do you rank this movie amongst the ones that you've been involved with? Is it on the upper scale of things, or?
Yeah. That was my first. I got to sit down and watch all the footage edited, and then I walked away with going, "Wow, okay, here's a movie that's got probably the least amount of budget that I've ever seen, and what was able to be captured on film, um, right there at the end of the can. Like I'm gonna rate it a lot higher. Uh, even being around a lot of the local films that I've seen, someone coming out of the gate with this first time is actually gonna be like, wow, like this is a huge surprise. And I mean, I've been on, $100,000 projects, no $1 million, nothing like that. But I mean, I got a pretty good range of where we've been on set. Even comparing to some of the projects that I personally worked on. And when I see the outcome of this, and I'm like, dang, I think I need to learn from him. Like, like it's something to be proud of. It really is, and for everybody involved in everything that was done, from the run and gun to everything that Malcolm's told me from the back, and it was just like, this is something that everybody is going to be proud of when they see.
And I agree with that. I think that this movie, you know, Malcolm was explaining, for just I don't want to say normal because I don't want to exclude the Bigfoot enthusiasts from this, but there's a lot more people that maybe not necessarily don't believe in Bigfoot than there are that do, and my point is that this movie is for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
I'll agree.
entertaining for anybody that wants to watch it, and that's kudos to Malcolm. And I don't want to. He's not going to like this because I'm really going to dig into his brain throughout this
There you go.
podcast, and I want to stick with the premise of something from nothing productions is your business.
Yes, sir.
And the name something from nothing obviously speaks for itself. And it kind of gets my mind frame in a sense of you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to really pull out of where this whole thing started, this movie. So, Malcolm, knowing you from middle school, and then obviously all throughout our adult years and in between, as long as you've been in the entertainment industry, and I can't help but think back to the middle school days, right? Like, bucking in front of, having a bucking with somebody, a competition, having a circle around, of a bunch of people just watching you. Even then, you wanted to be an entertainer. And, I remember when you were, I don't know, we had to have been in high school. Your mom had the Windows 98, computer, and you had the microphone, and you started rapping.
Mhm.
And that what I really want to talk about is the Red Room, right? Because that's what that turned into.
Right.
And I think that there's a foundational moment in this movie that goes back to the Red Room.
Mhm.
What would you say about the Red Room and how it influenced where we are today?
So, I would say a lot actually, because whenever me and Jake decided to start the Red Room, because we both had the knowledge of recording at home, and we both was into the rap music and stuff. So it's like we kind of learned together on that. We built this studio out of his house, and but by doing that, we started like networking, and that's where like Foolish came in, and that's when the Red Room really like took off. Is when Foolish had came in the mix, and he showed us like the ins and outs of recording. Really, I mean, he was like, "This is how you need to make it better." He knew everybody as far as like in the rap world locally,
And we're talking
right?
about Foolish.
Foolish, like
Okay.
everybody knew him. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So he kind of got us linked into that world as far as the local hip hop scene. Um and then so once that happened and we dropped an album, right? We actually dropped our first mixtape, I would say. Um it actually somehow got into the hands of Travis, and Travis
So I'm gonna back you up right
Mhm.
there because there was some local success that happened out of that first album. I'm assuming, and maybe I'm not, maybe I'm wrong here. Party in the Winnebago was on that album or no?
no, that was later.
Okay, that was
That
later.
was later.
All right.
This was before Party in the Winnebago. This was actually when we did where we made all of the beats that was on the album. We totally 100% owned everything
Hmm.
on the album, and it got somehow Travis got a hold of it, and he had a DJ buddy that was like in the strip clubs and was playing it, and that's when that song got a cup full of ice rocks, 10 bottles of Ciroc. And
Okay.
then like so that was kind of more the party song back then. That
Uh
was the
huh.
Winnebago before the Winnebago.
Gotcha.
So and then Travis just like hit me up, which is funny because I always knew his brother from playing baseball and stuff. So I kind of knew Travis, but he's a lot older than me. I mean, he's like 80 something years old.
Yeah, yeah. Watch that. Watch that.
so, so,
45 at the end of the year, bro.
so he was like, "Look, man, I got a camera. Do you mind if I come and shoot y'all's show?" We was doing a show at one of the local clubs. He's like, "Can I come and film it?" And we're like, "Yeah, of course." Like we was filming everything on cell phones. Like
Hmm.
we thought that was cool. So he showed up, filmed the show, and he actually was like mad about it. He was like, "I don't even like it," So, and I think it was on a GoPro.
Yeah, yeah. I started out with I want to say it was the second version of GoPro that ever come out.
Right.
And I was just like, I got to get this done. I told these guys I can film. I ran up to Best Buy, spent $1,000 on just this GoPro uh, tripod, and I want to say just a screw-on light.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It
Yeah.
just had a screw on light. So then he was like, "Man," he's like, "Doesn't look as good as I wanted it." Da, da, da. So then he went and bought another camera. He was like, "Look, I'm gonna shoot you a music video. I got this new camera. Do you mind? I want to do like a little short film slash music video. I had a song that I did, because that's when I started working on like a solo album by
Hmm.
myself. We started like doing our own solo albums, and then we was gonna come back together and do another mixtape album because we was all solo artists. We wasn't really a group, but like we was still on our wannabe like Red Room label. Is
And
that
that was Cracker on the Edge.
Cracker on the
And
Edge?
I remember when that video came out because Party in a Winnebago really was, it was a fun music video to
Mhm.
watch, fun song. I mean, I've got family in Ohio, and I shared that with family in Ohio, and to this day they will sing the hook to "Party in a Winnebago"
It's
out of
catchy.
nowhere. And but I say that to say, Cracker on the Edge, um, came out after the fact, and I remember I was with you that weekend. It was at the Lax concert.
Really?
Yep, and we were watching the views. It was like 19,000 views over the weekend
Yeah.
Yeah.
as soon as it dropped, and Party in a Winnebago never even saw close to that.
Right.
And it happened over the weekend, and there's a lot of success that happened out of that. I mean, you had the studio for years, the Red Room Studio, and people would come and record there.
Yeah.
Obviously Travis and you intertwined, and it turned into, next thing you know, you are working on projects with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the one of the biggest ones was Signal Lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And him talking about showing up with the camera and he's not happy with it. You were showing up with, you were the sound guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your setup?
It was a tripod that I just knocked the legs off of and had the microphone just like attached to the end. It wasn't even like the right way. I think like for half of that production, like I didn't have a legit boom pole. I think I finally did get one.
Yeah, I think we made it out of PVC at the apartment.
Yeah, it was made. It was totally made
Yeah.
by an old tripod and some PVC.
But it
pipe.
was highly rated for PSI, right?
Yeah, yeah, bro. It was the highest you could get. It was
Okay.
that thing. That puppy would bend all the way like this and would not snap. So it was definitely like a learning curve, but I think between like the Cracker on the Edge getting a little bit of a bug of acting because he made me act through it and all this,
Mhm.
and then being on Signal Lost and doing the sound, I didn't act in that one. I just kind of wanted to focus on the sound, but then it kind of really got me. And there's other projects like Hellphone. He had me doing the
Yeah.
sound on Hellphone.
Yeah.
I had a blast doing that. We've done a couple other shorts with just me and him, just messing around and practicing with stuff.
One of our biggest shorts got the most awards in Marion County.
Yeah, yeah, the Bride on the Side. Yeah,
Yeah.
we won a film festival. Because so we wasn't even gonna do that.
Mhm.
We was like, no, we're gonna stick to our own. He's like, we don't want to really do anything. We don't want to help any, and not in a bad way. Like we just wanted to do our own thing, right? Because we've been helping everybody with their projects, and we're like, man, we got to do our own project one of these days. So we had a couple people like, man, Damon was like, man, y'all are gonna do it, y'all are gonna do it. We're like, nah, man, we're just stepping back. Well, like at the last minute, we was like, we got guilt tripped into it, is what we did. And we're like, all right, fine. There was a team that signed up. They was kind of connected with us. They didn't have a crew or nothing. They really needed help. So we're like, all right, man, we'll help y'all, whatever. So we ended up helping them and winning the competition. The jump cut. It was a 3-day challenge where you drew the genre. You had to write the script, cast the actors, and film it, edit it, and have it all done in 3 days for the premiere at the Marion Theater. So we ended up winning it, and then just over time of doing all that, man, we kind of I was just like, we got to do our own thing. And Travis got more pulled towards the SAG and like the actual budgeted films and stuff. So I was like, well, I don't really want to do that just because I want to kind of be in control a little bit. Like not that I wanted full control of everything, because obviously like the production of the Big Hammock, I gave out a lot of like, hey man, what do you think? Like, like, but I kind of wanted to be able to be like, I don't want to be held back by rules and regulations. Like when it comes to the SAG and the budgets, like Travis can tell you, like there's certain things you're not allowed to do. To where when you're guerrilla shooting, I can run up anywhere and be like, hey, can we film in here? All right, cool. And then I ain't got to have no contract signed. I don't have to get permission from the up and ups. I don't have to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to feed the actors because, the Big Hammock had no catering. You know what I'm saying? If you ate, it's because you ate before you got there. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where the motivation came in as far as just wanting to go on a guerrilla shoot and had the idea and then recruited everybody as I went along.
So let's talk about the recruiting, right?
Okay.
Because I admire the fact that, over this course of time of you just being in entertainment, whether it's, rapping or behind the scenes doing filming, and you've kept up with the marketing, or the getting yourself out there, and knowing people, and knowing how to use people. And we've got people, cast members from the Red Room crew. You've got cast members that go back to childhood friendships. You got cast members that go to Signal Lost.
Mhm.
But ultimately you came up with this idea of the Big Hammock. And you had it in your mind, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But let's talk about what it took to get to that point, right? So, we do know that you just said that there were some things that you just delegated out, right? You got your crew together. There was you had a somebody on sound, you had somebody on the camera, you had Jake was able to come in and do a lot of the writing for you. Pretty
Yeah.
much wrote the whole thing. You
Right.
you
Yeah.
had said, all right, listen, this is what I have in my mind, write me a script.
Right.
And he nailed it,
He
right?
nailed it. Right.
so
Right. Yeah.
so but at the end of the day, uh part of your thought process in this was that you had to get people that you were going to get bought into this movie, that you were in the industry. I've learned from jumping in this, it's hard to rely on people. And
Right.
Travis was just giving
Yeah.
kudos and all that kind of stuff. To be able to pull what you did together out of this budget. But let's talk about how you did that with It's Danny.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, because I fell for that one hook, line, and sinker. You
Yeah.
had a plan for It's Danny,
Mhm.
and talk about that.
Yeah, so I knew if I wanted to do a full feature film and get people to join the crew, I had to have a business card, right? So It's Danny was my business card. So it's I had my grandfather had a friend ever since I was little who went through a certain time in his life where some things happened,
I'll,
right?
I'll go ahead and vouch for you. At the beginning of It's, how long is It's Danny? Is it
16 minutes.
16 minutes? And it's at the beginning, it says based on true events.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, knowing Malcolm as long as I've known him, that story is 100% true, real, not made up. That is a true story.
Yeah.
So the script wrote itself for you in
Yeah,
that
right. I
aspect.
changed a few things
Yes,
just
yeah.
for entertainment, but
Mhm.
yeah, the basis of the story is 100% true. Um, so I used that and I did everything myself. I mean,
Mhm.
down to the strapping the boom mic on trees to record the sound because I
Mhm.
wanted to show everybody around me like what I could do by myself, and then use that and say, imagine if I had your help, right?
Mhm.
What we could accomplish.
W-
So
Which is so legitimately, that was the first thing that I said to him, Travis. I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, Malcolm, next time you do a film, like, call me. Like, I
yeah,
want to I
Yeah.
want to act in it." And which lo and behold, that was his plan the whole time. He wanted,
yeah.
He's
he
a sneaker like
yeah,
that, bro.
like he was just looking. And that, so for example, with Signal Lost being the production that it was,
Yeah.
and him being the marketer that he is,
Mm-hmm.
right? He knew that there were people in that film that he wanted on the crew,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but he wasn't just going to call them up and say, "Hey," he had to show them that he could do something.
Right,
Yeah.
you're exactly
And
right.
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I wanted to just bring that out because I think that is what it got me,
Yeah.
And so fast forward, um I do want to talk about my experience in the film, right? So he calls me up, Travis, and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. It's a Bigfoot movie. Do you want to be in it?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like, no questions asked,
Yeah.
like, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, I'm going to send you the script. It's a small part. I got the lines, and to check it out, tell me if you want to do it." I'm like, "Sure." And he starts telling me about the story of the Big Hammock and what what it's going to revolve around. It's going to be a small town community. He starts telling me about how the Big Hammock is actually is what Ocala means in the native tongue.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. And I guess that was something that was taught in elementary school down here,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
didn't really go to an elementary school down here.
yeah.
But and so I'm at this point I'm bought in, and he's calling me throughout the year. By the way, this has been in the works for 2 years. You
Yeah.
know that, right? two
Yeah.
years. So he's calling me in the process of this, and he says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, this weekend we're doing a table read. Your part's small. Don't have to come. Won't hurt my feelings if you don't. Just want to let you know you're invited." So I didn't show up, right? And I know that his feelings weren't hurt. He wasn't worried about it. And this went on for months. He'd call me up and, "Hey, just want to let you know, got a table read this weekend. You don't have to come. Your part's small. Won't be no big deal. Just want to let you know you're invited." I didn't show up, over and over and over again. Well, then he finally calls me up. He's like, "Hey, it's the last table read. It's got a small part. You don't have to come. Just want to let you know you're invited." I'm like, "I'll be there." Right. So I show up to this table read. And mind you, he sent me the whole entire script, and I did not read it. I just read my part. And I'll tell you, during that table read, by the time we got to the end of it, I was like, "Holy crap, this movie's going to be awesome."
Yeah.
And I was bought in.
Yeah.
And one of the first scenes that we shot was a scene that I was in. And I loved it. I had fun. I have had so much fun filming this movie. It's just been, we've been talking on the phone, this or that, and next thing you know, as he's filming and he's progressing and filming, some of the scenes were not turning out on camera the way that they were on paper, and we had to pivot. And
Mm-hmm.
we didn't change we didn't change the story or the movie, but there were things that we wanted to add to the movie to make the movie valuable and not lose its value in the
Yeah.
story and the content. And it turned into another scene being added. It turned into another part being added, and it turned into, you know, uh, man, I'm having fun with this movie, and I'm throughout the movie, beginning, middle, and end. And again, 2 years in the making. We didn't cut no. I say that to say we didn't cut no corners on this movie,
No.
right?
No.
We took the time to make this movie right and put the effort in to make sure that the viewer gets sucked into this movie, follows along, and enjoys himself all at the same time. And Travis, through your editing, right,
Mm-hmm.
would you say that it's accomplished that we've accomplished that?
Yeah, 100%. And funny you talk about editing. Originally, that's how it was set up. He was gonna come over. He was gonna do an assembly line. Then I was gonna jump in there, and I was gonna help out with the edit, different things like that. He showed me his assembly line, and I was like, "You don't need me. What do you need me for?" Like, because he's been practicing and practicing, and little that everybody didn't know, even though I wasn't on set as much as I would love to have been. Um, it was phone calls. It was like, all right, I'm going to shoot this. I'm going to go do this. So I kind of felt like a coach in a way,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome because it was like, I felt like, all right, I'm big brother helping little brother.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, man, it was just amazing. But to see that first, I'll say it was the first 10 or 15 minutes. And then we watched it. I gave him a few notes and I was like, hey, just cut this over here, maybe slide this over a little bit, do this. And next thing I know, the following weekend came by and he had another 15 minutes on top of it. And he's like, let me see this. I was like, bro, you don't need me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're achieving like something that took me 2 or 3 years to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just boom, he done picked it up.
Yeah, I
And
mean, how fun, how much fun, and how much fun does it make it being involved after the fact, right? Because
oh yeah,
again, you've been a part of major productions. Again, you're not getting on your high horse, not no
no,
$1 million, but you've been a part of productions with
yeah,
budgets.
yeah.
And how cool is it that he made your job easy?
Oh my goodness! Like I just felt like I had to be a editing supervisor. That was it.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's look at this, let's watch this, and it was just like he had everything there.
Mhm.
And it made me feel proud knowing that later on projects that we're going to be involved in together. It was like, I got someone to lean on.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
absolutely.
Let's do that. And it was and same with his filming. When Malcolm picked up the camera, even though it was a lot of the music videos that we started on, where I was mainly the one behind the camera, but the other part of the brains of that operation through any music video that we worked on was always Malcolm.
Mhm.
Some of the best scenes, we would talk about it. We'd argue about it. And we're like, no, it's not gonna work. Yeah, it's gonna work. Just shoot it.
Mhm.
And it came out, and then we'd sit back and be like, all right, let's do it again. You know. So it's just, I don't know. He's always been there, man.
Yeah.
So like down to like even when I first got the camera for the Big Hammock, once Chaz, bought the equipment, I took it straight to Travis. All right, put the settings on here, bro. I don't know what the settings are supposed to be, but just go ahead. I just want to be able to hit record, turn it on, hit record, hit stop, turn it off. So because I had no idea like how do you get the best out of the camera, right? What are the settings you need? I didn't know nothing about ISO or aperture or any of that,
I had to run him through 15-minute school.
Right, yeah. Basically. So like when I was like on set pretending like I knew what I was doing with the camera the whole time, I'm like, man, I hope I don't hit the wrong button. So cuz I even had like a monitor, and like the monitor was also a recorder, and it was going to get better like quality. So like after the first scene, I drop it off to Travis, like, all right, bro, here, do your thing. And he's like, yeah, it looks great. He's like, but can't use none of it. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't use none of it? He's like, yeah, you recorded like everything. Like whatever the screen showed, it recorded. I'm like, crap. So he's like, well,
What?
did you hit record on the camera though so the backup card could get it? And I was like, I don't know, bro. I just hit whatever button you told me to hit.
I set up a failsafe just in case.
And it worked. So we didn't have to redo because if not, that whole diner scene would have been reshot.
Oh, it was the diner scene.
The diner
Yeah.
scene.
Oh boy.
That's why if you notice, I never used the monitor after that. I used the cheaper monitor. I was like, well, if I don't even know how to use this recorder, the backup recorder, well, it was going to be the main recorder and the camera was the backup recorder, but I just did away with it. I'm like, we might as well just keep going with this. I almost messed up the very first the scene, but it worked out.
Yeah, that
Well-
day I had a tear come out of my eye. I ain't gonna lie. I had to meet you there at 7:00 in the morning.
I know.
Get everything ready. Everything was all set up, all excited. I'm like, man, I don't want to go into work. But I knew I was the only manager that was opening up this store, and I had to leave. All day I'm stressed out, pacing at work, and because I was like, I want to know what's going on. Like I'm missing this. I even called, I think, a couple times
Yeah.
too.
How's it going?
Yeah, I just want to make sure
You
everything's
remember to
going.
hit record? You remember the red button, the red circle button. Does it blink when you hit it? Make sure you hit record.
Yeah, man, you never know, man. Things happen, bro. I've been on
Like,
set
yeah,
where
bro, I hit record.
everything went perfect, and then all of a sudden you go back and watch your footage, and you got no audio, and you're
Yeah.
like, we've checked this 2 or 3 times.
I have had a scene during this that we shot the Warden Wayne and Lobo scene, the outside of the diner scene.
Uh-huh.
No audio on the camera.
So that was all linked up on the boom.
So I had to use you're always using the boom.
Correct. Yeah.
But normally you have the camera audio to line up.
Correct.
None of that.
So
So
you-
I had to like find something in the shot, listen to the take,
Mm-hmm.
line that up.
And make sure it's the right take too, because
Right.
there was multiple takes.
Right.
So I do want to talk about the red carpet premiere event that we
Mhm.
have coming up Friday.
Right.
It's at the Epic Theater. There's a pre-party at the Shuck and Shack at 4:00.
Mhm.
And then what time are they? Is the movie opening for us to come in?
6.
6:00.
Yep.
And the show time is at
7.
7. So, what can the people expect out of that event?
So they can expect a movie.
Of course.
They can expect a Q&A afterwards and a
Okay.
raffle.
All
So
right.
with the purchase of your ticket, not only do you get your 15% off at the Shuck and Shack if you go, but you're also entered into a raffle to win some merch, some props, small props that were used in the movie, Bigfoot themed, obviously. Um, yeah, doing the Q&A and then just like pictures, and we're gonna have two different media outlets there that are covering the event, going around asking questions, what people thought about the movie, what they think beforehand, what they thought afterwards. We'll have a backdrop that you could take a picture in front of. We're gonna have DVDs and Blu-rays for sale. um so that's basically it. We're just telling people to get there between 6 and 6:30, so you get your good seats, get your popcorn ready, because at 7 o'clock showtime is starting.
All right. Yeah.
Don't sit in the front row. Don't.
No previews. Going right into it at 7 o'clock. No
Right. The
previews. No, yeah.
previews, the trailers, and the sponsors that we have, all the ads are gonna be from 6 up to 7, and then as soon
Mhm.
as the trailers and the ads are done, it's going straight into
We're
the
right
movie.
into it.
Yeah,
And then where can everybody purchase their tickets?
on thebighammock.com.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
And yeah, we're excited.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm lost for words on how excited I am.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
Yeah.
I've not sleeping very much. So steady looking at Facebook. Where we at on our trailers? Calling how where we at on our ticket sales. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what all this turns out to be at the end of it. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, thank you all for
Yeah.
sitting down and chatting, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
we'll kick it back on the next one.
Oh
All
yeah.
right.
Can't wait.